And it really felt...
Last player standing. Flawless.
Is what G2 did at Champions last week, i.e. jumping off the map so as to deny a round, in a word, unsportsmanlike? Should they be fined, praised, or simply tolerated for their, let's say, strategic maneuver? Lastly, and most importantly, is it insane that we're even having this conversation? Probably, but we're here. So let's have it. Okay, so last week, G2 squared up against Leviathan in the upper bracket quarterfinals of Champions. They narrowly lost the first map and were getting whipped in the second. They go into the second half down 8-4 and unfortunately lose pistol. So instead of saving or forcing in the second round, they do this.
You can drop one there with Viper. You're kind of committed to where you invest that the first time around.
Yeah.
And it really felt...
Last player standing. Flawless.
Hey,
Yeah.
you don't give you don't give ultimate orbs.
Well,
You don't give ultimate orbs. On to the next. I've never had a second round go that quick.
Now, most of you probably intuitively understand why G2 did what they did, but some of you may not, either because you're new to Valorant or you don't actually play it, so I'll spell it out. In an effort to basically uber save, G2 didn't just not buy. They jumped off the map so as to deny Leviathan A, ultimate orbs from fragging them, B, money from fragging them, and C, money from planting. It is strategic. The thing is, not everyone regarded it as sportsmanlike. Or I guess I should say one person didn't. Following the match, analyst and content creator Lothar published an impassioned post criticizing the maneuver and chastised it for being, quote, disrespectful and basically bad for Valorant as a whole. Now, I want to be clear for everyone's sake, not just Lothar's. Lothar didn't really say that G2 should be fined. What he said was that if what they did does constitute a rule break, and he admits that he doesn't know whether that's the case, only then should they be fined. But his overarching point stands, which is that the very fact that teams have the capacity to deny a round in what he regards as such a blatantly non-engaging way is, quote, disrespectful to everyone, to the sport, to their opponent, to the viewers, to the TO, and that it shouldn't be allowed, either in the game itself or in the rulebook. Now look, Lothar did flag this as a hot take, which it is, so it didn't come as a surprise when he started getting a mixture of heat and confusion in the replies. Even I had to chime in and poke fun at his zealousness a little bit, which, as it turned out, people enjoyed. Which I felt comfortable doing because, let's be honest, homie was probably engaging in just a little bit of impression farming. That said, he did defend his view pretty staunchly and seemed earnest in his claim that the move was, in his word, disrespectful. Is it? No. There's really no debate about that. G2 didn't cheat, they didn't throw, they didn't exploit anything. They made a conscious economic decision that the map not only allowed, but invited. That's it. What you could debate is whether or not it was the best economic decision. And people did. Lothar later posted a clip from TenZ's stream where TenZ laid out the pros and cons of G2's maneuver and explained that there is absolutely a sense in which it can work against you.
The strat in itself is good and brain dead at the same time. It depends. It's good in the way of denying ult orbs. Like if someone's like 5 out of 7 or something, then I think it's good. But at the same time, you're denying yourself the possibility to win the round. And then also, if the enemy does like the FPX buy, like the EMEA like FPX buy, where they buy 3 rifles and just keep 2 pistols, then it's just stupid as f to do.
Now, I'm not nearly as familiar with Valorant's in-game economy as TenZ is, and I won't pretend for a second to know whether yeeting yourself off a ledge in-game is optimal or not. What I do know is that it doesn't matter if every round is more winnable in Valorant than in, say, Counter-Strike, which Lothar sort of intimates, because the point isn't to win individual rounds. It's to win the match. Do I think that ecos are stronger in Valorant than in CS? For sure. With things like the shorty and signature abilities and the classic right click, it is way easier to make a dent in your opponent's economy in Riot Shooter than in, say, Valve's. But that doesn't mean that Valorant competitors have to adopt this like ethical, prescriptive, summoner's code-esque mantra where they will always try their best and run into a bomb site and take every gunfight, however disadvantageous, in order to constitute trying. Again, the point is not to win individual rounds. The point is to win 13 rounds before your opponent does. And if jumping off a ledge helps you get there, then so be it. The point is that an economic decision cannot be disrespectful. And that's not a Valorant thing. That's just a thing across all esports. Is the way that Virtus Pro plays Counter-Strike boring? Yeah, sure. But is it disrespectful? Of course not. It's just optimal. It's min-maxing the economic infrastructure that Valve themselves put into the game. A great analogy is actually executes in League of Legends. If I'm proxying between a tier 1 and a tier 2 and a 6-0 Viego starts running at me, you best believe that I am not adopting an every engagement is winnable type mentality. I am running it the fuck down. Now, do I think that executes should exist? No, I don't, because I come from Dota, and I am of the opinion that if you die to an enemy tower, even having taken no player damage, the gold should be split evenly between your 5 opponents. But they do exist. They are a part of the game, and I cannot fault players for making use of them, much as I'd like to. If Lothar's main point is that Riot sucks for putting this in the game, or the TO sucks for allowing it to happen, then I can at least wrap my head around that. I don't agree with it, but I can at least understand it. And even though he's getting memed into oblivion for this, I actually think that Lothar's main grievance isn't with the player per se. It's with the game. It's just that because of his phrasing, he really made it sound as if the thing he was hating on was the player. I think that ultimately, Lothar's main goal was to criticize a mechanic, a specific mechanic on a specific map. He just didn't make it all that explicit. He didn't say, I don't think that this thing that G2 did belongs in Valorant, but I don't fault G2 for using it. He said, this is disrespectful. I don't think it should be allowed. In fact, it may not be. And if it's not, G2 should be fine. This is, quote, literally trolling / throwing. Was what G2 did the smart move? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Like I said, I don't know the economic intricacies of Valorant the way that Lothar does, or TenZ does, or anybody else. But it definitely wasn't disrespectful. There are plenty of design decisions I hate that were made in games I love, and I like to criticize them. But when I do, I try not to implicate the players who make use of them, because they're not exploiting anything or being disrespectful. They're just playing the game.